Just when America has reached a breaking point with division, visionary influencer Danni Benson's I'm Proud of You Sis bro movement taps into the pulse and heartbeat of a culture radically torn. But this loving mom's voice of reason and calm has received national recognition.
How'd you balance having your children and always traveling with the Yankee organization?
When I became a dad, I said that I would always love like a mother.
I feel like I have to try certain things or act a different way because I know some people or some kids.
So join Danni Benson as she celebrates her special guests on her show and highlights their gifts and contributions to our world.
Hi, everyone. Oh my God, I have a little thing on my shirt. Okay. Hi, I'm Danni Benson. Thank you for joining. I'm proud of you, sis. Hopefully everyone is having an amazing day. Happy Wednesday. I love Wednesdays because we're almost done and it's almost the weekend. So I get so excited when Wednesdays come because Thursday and Friday and the weekend starts really on Friday. But thank you for joining. I'm proud of you, sis. I have a special guest, Stephanie Lamour. She's a CEO and founder of Lamour Empowerment, her and her husband, Renard Lamour. And the reason I have her on the show is I wanted to focus on our youth because I don't know if you see what's going on out there. Sometimes I'm just like, what is going on? There's pure madness. Sometimes I ask where the parents are, but I have to understand sometimes parents are working multiple jobs, and they can't be at home 100% of the time. And I have to take any judgments out of, because I'm a parent and I know how hard it is to be a parent. But I think now these days we need to start talking about more social, emotional issues with our children and conflict resolution, to help our kids, is because it's as important as math, science. Yes, we have to give our kids the IQ to be smart, right? But we also have to give our kids morality, conflict resolution, meaning that you don't just not want to talk to somebody and all of a sudden either bully them or do something that's violent. I mean, that's not the way that we were taught when I was being raised. We were taught to sit down and talk about it and come to a resolution, but not do something that you don't think will be detrimental for the rest of your life. Because if you do harm a human being, 9 times out of 10, you will suffer some consequences, like go to jail. And these kids need to understand the consequences. Understand consequences of going to a store and taking something that doesn't belong to you. We need to have these conversations. And I think with the world of social media and everyone being so busy, we still have to give the time to the youth because they are our future. We can't give up on them. And then we can't just blanket and generalize every single youth because there's so many amazing youth out there that's doing amazing things. But we do have to, help the youth that maybe don't have the opportunities that other youth have, to give them some guidance, give them some love, because sometimes when they do things, it's because they don't have the proper experience, don't have maybe the education, maybe, the parenting skills is poor sometimes, because think about it, we don't get manuals to become parents, right? We just have to use our instincts and look at other people and what they're doing. So it doesn't mean that parents have all the tools. So Miss Stephanie Lamour I call her the youth speaker, meaning that she connects with the youth, she understands the youth, and she wants to give the youth every opportunity in life to succeed with her Lamour Empowerment Foundation. So, Stephanie Lamour, thank you for coming on the show.
Hello.
Hi, Stephanie. And I just want to let everyone know Stephanie was my spiritual coach. She is amazing. Yeah. I love being mentored because we always are learning, right? So I love reaching out to so many different people. And Stephanie was there for me at a part of my life where I was trying to figure out who I was and try to get my power back. And, you know, because who I am, I have to know because I'm raising two little babies. And if I'm lost, then my kids are going to be lost. So I had to go out there and make sure I was found again. And Miss Stephanie Lamour helped me find the pieces of me again and put it all back together. So, hey, Steph, thank you for joining. I'm proud of you, sis. I'm so proud of you. And please, let's talk about what are you currently doing for the youth right now? And also, if you want to speak about your coaching, because you're amazing at it, definitely discuss that also with our audience. So I don't know what you want to dive into first.
But listen, they all go together, right? So
Okay.
ours, we really focus on faith-based personal development. And when we talk about mental health, spiritual health, emotional well-being, these are the things that we focus on through our workshops, our events, our programs, right? And so our programs include one-on-one coaching, whether it's for adults or whether it's for the youths. And also the program entails our youth leadership program. And so that is one of my favorite programs that we have because like you've been saying, I love working with the youth. They make you feel youthful.
Yeah, they do.
They are I always say there's kind of like a misrepresented, I want to say, age group. And sometimes for me, it could be the elderly, but also the youth. And I think those are the two misrepresented age groups. And so therefore we concentrate on the youth with the youth program. Now the youth program, this is where we involve ourselves in understanding the youth because first we have to understand them, right? And that's a continued process. And in understanding them, knowing what it is that they need, knowing what it is that they want, but especially disconnecting them for the time that we have with them from outside, like from the social medias, from the phones, from anything that's going to disrupt what
or distract.
Or distract. That's the key word, distract them from understanding that they are the leaders of tomorrow. And so that's what the leadership program does. We incorporate them with the skills. We bring in people, guest speakers to empower them. So we're not doing this alone. We've had people come and teach them about vegan. We had a vegan chef come in. We had a person from the police department come in. We've had several guest speakers. We call them gem speakers. Guests who empower, motivate, and support the youth. And so this program, they love it because you have youths, they want to know that they belong somewhere. And that's one thing about youths.
So what are some of the exercises that you do? Because I feel like this generation of youth, it's funny. I went out to dinner with my daughters and I was speaking to a high school. She's going to graduate this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so sad because she was talking to me about being bullied and they're making fun of her because she didn't get her nose done because she has like a beak of a nose. And I looked at her and I said, look, your nose is beautiful. You're beautiful just the way you are. And just for her to hear those words, her face was enlightened. So when I think of you talking to the youth, sometimes they just need to hear the words.
I'll give you one better. Sometimes they need to hear the words, but they need to hear it from their peers as well. And so a lot of the times when we do our program, we make sure we're building community. Just like us as adults, we look for community. So we make sure that they know as facilitators, as their coach, we empower them to empower each other, right? And so that means we've had circles, a time where they can bring up what it is that they're going through in school. Now, versus me giving my thoughts and my opinion, I'll say support your teammate. What is it that how can you support your teammate? And then they'll begin to feed each other versus being the adult. Because sometimes us as adult, we can say something, but they'll receive it better from a peer, right? And so in learning that, a lot of the times we direct them to have conversations with each other, as well as the activities that we do to promote the conversation. And sometimes that's Q&A. Sometimes that's games, right? That can invoke us how they feel emotionally. We've done heads up where they are able to learn different. Listen, there are so many ways to describe emotions. Like you could say, I'm angry, or I'm mad, or I'm furious. And each of those things means something different. And I think a lot of times with youths, the key thing is they don't express their emotions because they don't know how. They don't know the words to use. They don't think it's acceptable to express them. They feel different. And so a lot of situations stem simply because what do I do with what I am feeling? Right. And so a lot of the work that we do is to support them, to give them the confidence, the courage, the strength to say, this is how I feel. This is what I want to say. This is what I vision. This is just to share themselves, because we want to teach them you are powerful. You need to share yourself. And that starts with being able to express the inner emotion.
Yeah, because that's very important, because when kids go to school, school concentrates on this, the brain, right? But schools need to start understanding like this brain is connected to this heart, which is my this brain tells this heart how to feel, right?
Yeah.
Like your emotions are coming through, it's all connected. So if schools only focus on this, they're only focusing on half of the human being.
That's right.
This and this makes the human being complete. The human being needs to be smart, the youth needs to be smart, but you also need to help them, like you said, express their words, because sometimes the smartest people in the room don't make the best decisions.
And there you go, right? So that's what I wanted to tap into when once you said that, and you just took it from my mouth.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, I love when we flow like
Yeah,
this.
I know.
So you are absolutely right. The youth needs support in making choices, and I tell my kids that all the time. And I do want to offer to the parents, no matter how much you talk, believe me, at some point it is registering, right? And I say that because I talk. My coachees know I talk. They be like, Coach Steph, you just talk. But they appreciate it, because some of them will come and they will speak about the choices that they had to make during the week. And they will say that the program helped them to make that choice during the week. Okay. And in fact, I say this, the education system will teach math, science, what you can use to support the system. Okay, let's just be real, right? My intellect is what they will grow. However, my choices, my morality, who I am, my identity is not um being watered, in other
Yeah,
words,
it's not
right?
being, it's not being supported in the
It's
school.
not.
And I don't understand now, like more than ever, our life is so even more complex with social media. Now AI is about to come in here and just wreck things even more. If we as humans don't start talking about our feelings and having empathy and expressing that part of us, then our society is going to go downwards, because we're not going to care for one another, because we're not taught to care for one another. We're not taught to express our feelings. And that goes for boys too. It's
Especially boys. Especially
especially this
boys.
whole notion of don't cry, it makes you weak. No, obviously it makes you stronger, because you are crying and you letting the world know how you feel. This is who I am right now as I am standing. I'm telling you my pure emotions. You don't tell a boy stop crying, because now you're teaching them they don't matter, like their feelings don't matter. And you wonder why the world is the way it is. If you don't teach a child how to feel, how they're supposed to feel for someone else.
That's right.
So with the youth, give me some examples. with the youth, like a session? Like, give me examples of what you do. Like, okay, so I come to you. I'm a troubled child. My parents work 24 hours, and then I come into your program, and I'm coming because I want support. I want you to help me to be the me that I don't see.
The first thing I'm going to say, because I love my youth, is none of them are troubled youth. That's just the
Ooh.
label that we've given to them. And so we want to begin to strip these labels off. So Lamour empowers, we transform lives with love. And so the first thing we want them to feel in the room is love. And so my first approach always is, yo, I'm the coach. You're not here for school. There's no like raise hand and do this and that. We have structure, but at the end of the day, my task is to get you to see your best self, your highest self, right? And so we build that foundation of trust, of love, of appreciation. And we're always doing icebreakers that are always teachable lessons, right? Because the youth, they don't want to sit and be lectured. So we always incorporate activities. So we'll start with the icebreaker and activity. As I mentioned before, one of them was heads up, to where they had to guess by acting out an emotion, and the others had to guess it. That led us to teaching and learning about different emotions. And depending on what they're learning that week, which is a skill, whether it's money management, because again, the less they confident they are about themselves, is the more challenges they're going to have in making choices. So our task is to fill them up with everything that we can. And so I believe it was about 3 weeks ago, we had a guest speaker, a gem speaker, and they loved him because he came and he spoke his story. And in his story, he described that he went to jail, he was in and out of jail, and he was a youth. So now we have people that they can relate to without us pinpointing who it is. He spoke about the relationship with his parents, but he also let them know now he uses his story to teach other youths. And he taught them about managing money, because he's well out there with his books, and he has a business that's making a lot of profit. And so he shared that with them. And having said that, at the end, we actually had one of the youths pray for him. And so in our program, we incorporate prayer. Okay. Now, when we incorporate prayer, I'm so real with the youth. I've had youth say to me, because we have youths, they don't have to be Christian. We are a Christian based foundation, but I have youths that their parents don't go to church. They're not really Christians, and we still pray. And I've actually had one of them say to me, well, what if we don't believe in prayer and we don't want to pray? And I said, listen, when you go to school, you do the I pledge allegiance to the flag, and you do that out of what? Respect. Because people have died for the country and you respect them. And I said, in the same way, I'm standing before you here today because I share my story with them all the time, because God saved me. Jesus has saved me, so I respect him. In the same way, I'm only asking you to respect it. That's it. And as young as they are, guess what? They respect it. Only because, as I originally said, our foundation is built out of love. We're not pressuring nobody. We're not forcing them to see something they already have inside of themselves. We're encouraging them to pull it out with love. And so we get together. After that, we wrap up with one word of the day, one word that they pick from the day. And if they want to further the conversation, they have access with me with one-on-one coaching. And so that's typically what we will do.
So when we were growing up, we were able to talk about prayer in school. I don't know. I think teachers were allowed to pray. I don't know. Do you think that we need to teach some sort of morality in school? Like, just like we do the Pledge of Allegiance, do you feel that? What about if we just pray? It doesn't matter if whatever. See, I don't want to say whatever God you have in your mind, because a God could be money too. A God
Okay,
can be,
so
you know what I
so
mean? So I
here's
don't want to say whatever God. People are sitting there praying for money.
okay,
So
so here's what I would offer any parent listening. I know that sometimes we struggle with the school system. I know this, right? And I know God has called and assigned some people for every battle. I believe this. At the end of the day, our children belong to us. And any other child that God can lead me to influence and impact in a loving way, I will say yes to. Why I say this is because I will give you an example. My son is 8 years old, Leonardo. I teach him about God and he reads the Bible. And there are times that, guess what? His school will have bring your book to school. I don't have to tell him, he will bring his Bible. His friends know that he prays. They'll come to the house, we'll pray, right? So this is something that I'm not going to expect the school to do for me. I have to take the initiative to do it myself. And I think this is where we will start finding now other parents, other kids who live or want the same thing. And that's how we begin to build an infrastructure of seeing a change in the school system. But when there's not a table, you got to set the table yourself. You got to make the table yourself. In other words, is what I'm saying.
it starts from home.
It starts from home. It has to. We can't always depend on the education system to do what we feel that is right to do or what we deem is right. Because guess what? They serve so many other people.
I know, and so many other communities too.
And so many other religions, right? So all of this to be loved, to understand certain things. And so why I say that is because again, there are people who are called to go into these schools and say, yeah, we are demanding or we want, or not even demanding, but this would be so good for our children, right? This would be so fruitful for them to be able to get together and pray. Now, my children's school, they have affirmations in the morning, they have encouraging words in the morning, they have things like that. But you will also see students, because of what they've learned at home, if something is wrong with their friends, they would pray for their friends because that's what they're taught at home, right?
So do you think morality and religion is the same thing? Do you think schools could teach morality and separate it from religion?
Okay. You want to know something recently I learned?
Okay.
Because I teach youth. I teach the youth at my church also, right? Renard and I lead the youth. And I learned this week that the Bible stands for basic instructions before leaving earth,
Ooh.
right? Basic
Who put
instructions
that acronym
before
on
leaving
it?
earth.
Wait, I gotta
Now,
write this
I
down.
never knew that
Who said
acronym.
no? Who said that?
That's what I learned from the kids Sunday, this past Sunday,
Basic
and
instructions before
leaving earth. So
leaving
I
Earth.
always looked at right. So I always looked at the Bible as a manual, right? God created us. He gave us something to live a full life. This is what people need to understand, and this is what I've been teaching the youth. You're here to live a full life. That means there are things that God puts inside of you that sometimes you may feel less than, sometimes you may feel doubt, sometimes you may feel you're not good enough, sometimes you may have fears, sometimes you may want to be a part of the crowd. But these feelings that you're having is not you living a full life. How does that look like for you? And we start getting them to think about that early. Now, how do they get to that full life? We have to teach them that your friends can have 20,000 things to say, 20,000 opinions. But when you trust and believe that you're created by a creator, he's actually left you a manual, a set of instructions to get you to that full life. So this is not about religion. I don't do religion. I do a Christian walk. I follow Christ. That's why I'm able to love and forgive and make room for others and teach others, no matter who you are, what you choose, what you look like, there's still room to love so we can learn, because that's what Christianity is. It's not a religion. So this is what I share with the kids.
Wow, that's very powerful, because I had to write it down. The Bible stands for basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Yes.
And leaving Earth and going to heaven, hopefully. Heaven.
Listen, that's what we're praying for. Heaven comes down.
Yeah, before I go to God, like, well, let's look at the manual. Like, you know what? But you know what it is? It's like whatever religion you follow, I feel like the Bible, and all the other, the Torah, the Quran, I think they're all are kind of instructions. But you know what it is? What it is, it gets crazy because people cherry pick. Either you're gonna take the full text. See, this is where the contradictory comes, because either you're gonna take the full text or not, right?
Okay,
or
so
no.
here's what I would offer, right?
Okay.
Again, here's what I would offer. And I've had many of these conversations. This is where respect comes in, right? So you see how you mentioned the Torah and everything else. Again, we've had youths from different walks. Some of them don't even start off believing in Christ, right? Mm-hmm. This is not to convince somebody. This is to see, where are they? So once you see where are they, you meet them where they are. So if you have someone that reads the Torah, that's their belief. So whatever what they have, or Muslims, whatever they have, they feel, like you said, is their basic instructions for leaving Earth. So really, I'm respecting you. So that means what I'm saying is not for you. And I have to respect that, because it's not, and I say this in the most loving way, I think where people go wrong is we try to fix people. It's not our jobs to fix people. It's our jobs to love people and allow a God that's created us and changed us to change them. That's it.
Because you know what? You're right. Because change starts with you. I always felt that you can't change or fix people. The only thing you have control over is yourself. So you be the best human possible. And with that radiation, with that radiant out to others, you be the change that helps someone else say, I want to be like this. I want to emulate this. I want to emulate this love she has, because I think that is like one of the secrets. Like, I realize this, you can't change people. You can have conversations, you can tell them how you feel, but you can't tell anyone else how to feel, because they're their own individual self. So the only thing is you could do is be your best you.
That's right.
Be your best you. Love deeply, right? And love each other deeply. And maybe that love within you can help facilitate the love within someone else.
Amen.
Because the little bit that each human can do on this earth is so powerful, how you can change someone's direction so they can become their best self.
Amen.
So I want to say to my audience, my optimum audience who watches me on Saturday on Channel 20 at 9 a.m., I want everyone to know how to get in touch with Stephanie Lamour, and Lamour Empowers. And also Stephanie has a fundraiser that she's doing that's going to be on May 27th. So Stephanie, just give us some details real quickly.
So for the fundraiser, we're raising funds to continue the youth program. This is the only way we can continue it, because the youth do not pay to attend this program. So it'll be up to those who donate to sponsor. If you want to join us to buy a ticket for the fundraising gala that we're having on May 27th, and you can find out that information on lamourempowers.com. And there'll be a link that says gala, and all the information about the gala would be on that link.
All right. Thank you, viewers, for watching on Proud of You Sis. I'm Danni Benson. See you next week. Bye.